how with a straight face can you say that this group of Democrat partisans are unbiased and will give President Trump a fair shake?
This is unbelievable. And I'm here to tell you, Mr. Rosenstein, I think the public trust in this whole thing is gone. You're the guy in charge. You could disband the Mueller special prosecutor, and you can do what we've all called for. Appoint a second special counsel to look into this.
All right, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein grilled on Capitol Hill over allegations of bias in the Bob Mueller probe. Now calls for an investigation into the investigators are growing louder by the minute as anti-President Trump texts from an FBI agent are revealed.
So is it time for another investigation? Here now to weigh in is former Utah Congressman and Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Thank you for joining us this morning. Is it time?
Fortunately, there's already a mechanism in place. You have the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, has been at this for a year and a half. The reason we even know today about these texts is because of the good work there. And remember, an Inspector General, in this case, Michael Horowitz, he has 450 employees. He has millions of dollars at his disposal. They work and they're already there at the Department of Justice. I know there's an emotional gut reaction for a second special prosecutor, but how's the first one going? I don't think that's. I don't think you do a second one. I think you rely on the IG, who should come out in the first quarter with his definitive report.
Going to these texts between Strzok and Lisa Page here, and Strzok was on the Hillary investigation as well as looking into Trump-Russia. And let's look at one of these from August 15, 2016. At this point, we're deep into the, into the process here, and we're getting closer and closer to the election. Here's Peter Strzok. I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, talking about President Trump, we assume. But I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you are 40. It sounds like they're thinking of some way, in the unlikely event, they say, that Trump can win, because remember, nobody thought he was going to win this thing. Right. They're saying we can't take that chance, almost as if they've got a plan in place to prevent it from happening on the unlikely event that it does happen. Is that what you read into that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem as just a bias as somebody who's maybe leaning towards the Democratic Party, but somebody who actually has an agenda and they want to carry out that agenda, and they're colluding with other members there at the FBI in order to achieve an outcome that they believe is in the best interest of the country, that they're in these powerful positions, and that should scare all of us.
And maybe that idea was that, we're looking into Hillary Clinton, maybe we just kind of let this slide for the greater good of the country, in their opinion, that maybe we just let the investigation into her go, which kind of, you start reading into what he said, what Comey said, that Peter Strzok had a hand in that, and you start getting these wheels going in your head about what this all means.
At one point, Strzok says he thinks that the score should be 100 million votes to 0. Right. That you'd be an idiot if you voted for Donald Trump. But again, you're going to have people who have political beliefs. They're going to actually vote. But Lady Justice is supposed to have a blindfold. And that's the concern, is that on multiple fronts and a number of people, as Trey Gowdy pointed out, you have people whose literally their wife is working for the very entity that you're looking at. He's the number 4 person at the FBI.
Well, and yesterday, Rod Rosenstein, when he was, grilled all day, he said, we recognize we have employees with political opinions. It is our responsibility to make sure those opinions do not influence their actions. But clearly, as displayed through a lot of these text messages, one can assume that it could have had an influence on that. So how do you stop that going forward?
Well, again, you got to shed light on it. I thought Mr. Rosenstein did a terrible job yesterday. He basically, as a professional testifier, spent 4 hours not answering the questions on the heels of the FBI Director Wray essentially doing the same thing. It's this Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, that will come in January, February, and I think we're going to learn a lot more. That's just the text messages. Right. We're not talking about emails. We don't know about the phone calls.
Right.
And there's deep concern here.
Well, I mean, I think that there's, and one thing that was said yesterday that I totally agree with, everybody has an opinion. Sure. Everybody in their heart of hearts believes one way or another. The point is that when you're in the FBI and when you're investigating something like Hillary Clinton or something like President Trump in Russia, this is big game.
You have to be unbiased.
You have to at least appear unbiased, and even more so, this looks like a conspiracy. That one text that we just read off a minute or two ago, that lends itself to much more than just a bias within the FBI. That sounds like something movies are made out of.
There are more than 100,000 people at the Department of Justice, more than 10,000 attorneys, but somehow this configuration that Mr. Mueller has put around him at the senior-most levels are people who, not in just one case, not in just two cases, but multiple cases here, now not only were donating to the Democratic Party, but you look at the actual words that they wrote down in text, and it's got to scare everybody. I don't understand why the Democrats can look at that and say this was a fair, honest.
I'm afraid we can't take that risk.
And
I mean, that's crazy.
I've heard so many people just out in public saying, you know, you don't know who to trust. When is this going to end? When are we going to be able to regain trust?
The FBI, they're supposed to be the most above reproach, but
we'll see. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.